Hi, Captain Paul from the boating school here. We've had several clients ask us for more information on how to properly use their chart plotter, or better known as a multifunction display. So we thought we would put together a video showing some of the highlights that these systems have to offer. Today we will be working with a Raymarine Axiom Pro 16. There are multiple manufacturers out there. They all have the same basic functions. However, you will need to access your manual to find where these features are and how to make adjustments to your particular system. In a moment, we will move over to the screen and we will cover from the basics to some of the different platforms that are available. And hopefully this will help you better understand what these systems can do for you when on the water. So the first thing we can look at before we get to all of the different screens is settings. This will give you the system's information, and it's very important. These systems do need to be regularly updated. So if you have a Wi-Fi connection, today's systems, for the most part, can be updated through an internet connection where you would hit the update software, it would search for new updates, and then allow you to install them. You get to choose your language, and you can change your home screen's appearance. The next page on settings is the boat details. That shows you the different things that you would load in, such as your minimum safe width, the distance from the bow to the GPS so it can track where you are, length, number of engines, and also battery information, fuel tanks. Now, this particular system we are using as a demonstration today does not have engines that are electronically controlled, so this information is not able to be transferred to your multifunction display. However, newer vessels with newer motors predominantly are all electronic, and all of this information can be contained within this unit and allowing you access to see where you are with it. Your next page will be your units. How do you want to see these things? We've set this up with nautical miles and feet. Our speed is based in knots. Our depth units are set up in feet. Temperature is set up in Fahrenheit. Our date format, bearing mode, variation is automatic. We're using gallons, although again we're not using it. Pounds per square inch, and using a 12-hour format. This particular display, again, you have all of these different available options to you. Whether you want your screen dark, or if we just hit this and we change it to light, you'll see the screen now changes to a brighter setting. We'll set it back to dark, and it goes back to normal. This is a great feature if you have multiple units on your vessel. The share brightness button, when that is on, these units will talk together, and whatever is being displayed here as far as brightness, day view, night view, will automatically transfer to your other units so they stay in sync. And then your network page, which shows you the different electronics and setup that is on this boat, so you can see what they are. And this is where you can see your version updates, so that you can check and see if they are up to date or not. And that is very important. Updates are essential with today's electronics. Going back to our home page, we have another setting for alarms. Now, we have no active alarms set up right now. This page will show the history of any alarms that went off, but here's the button where you have settings. This is where you would be able to now program your display to act the way you want it to act. This vessel has radar, so we have dangerous radar targets. Lost radar targets are on, so they will track. That is guard zones, again radar, which we are not going to get into radar today. That's a whole separate topic. Waypoint arrivals. If you are running a course or a track or a route, when you reach the waypoint, an alarm will go off at 608 feet with a 40-foot radius, and in pilot mode it's set for 300. Different settings here. Interception arrival, again, we're not going to get into training all of these, but these are all features that allow you to program your unit to work for you. This is a very important one, shallow depth. This is your depth alarm. If your sounder senses in this boat 5 feet, an alarm will go off and let you know that you're in 5 feet of water. Position drift is a great asset to use when you're on anchor. If you're anchored and you are drifting where your anchor is slipping, you set this, turn this on. This is now set for 400 feet. If the vessel drifts more than 400 feet from where you started, an alarm will go off indicating that you may be dragging your anchor. Low fuel again would be an electronic system. We don't have that. Man overboard. All of these units, I should say most of these units now have a man overboard feature where you can hit a button. We've set this up to mark the position that that alarm was set. You can also change it for dead reckoning, but this allows the system to give us a latitude and longitude of where we hit that alarm. Fishing alarms, water temp alarms, which again, those are engine settings that we don't have on this vessel. So that covers your basic main page functions. There is also apps. Many of these will let you have Netflix or YouTube. You can bring all this in if you have an internet connection and watch it on the screen. So that covers that page. In the next section, what we're going to do is we're going to start getting into the different pages and what they look like and how you can alter or change them. Okay, we're back. Let's get into the different pages. Your main page that we all go to is your chart. So if we just touch our screen, this is a touch screen model. Again, all are not. Some will be controlled by the buttons over here, but this is a touch screen. It brings up a chart. It brings our vessel. We just hit this button. That centers and finds the vessel. Here is data that's stored on here. We'll put this to the side, but when we're running on a route or a track, this will give us the distance to waypoint. It'll give us our speed over ground, our course over ground, and our actual latitude and longitude position. So as we are running on a trip, we get to see where we are and how much time we have till we get to the next waypoint. Getting to your chart, many, if not most, of these multifunction displays require a navigation card. You can find that in here, under here, and there is a little card in there that stores all of this data that you're seeing on here. Some units are pre-programmed without cards, but most of your advanced multifunction displays require a card. That's something you would purchase separately. When they're new, you usually get a subscription that will last for a period of time, but then you need to renew it with a card. So this is giving you a chart. You have land, you have water. Not that we're going to get into navigation today, but valuable pieces of information on the chart. Depths, different shorelines with different depths, your channel markers. You can see here we've got some routes out to Barnegat Inlet, which is where we tend to go out of, and different routes and tracks. So these are all tracks and routes that we've set up in this system for when we're going to travel someplace. In addition, we have set up on the screen, which I will show you shortly, how to load these on. We have our course over ground, our speed over ground, and how much water we're in right now. Also the latitude and longitude position. So we have that on our main screen as well. If we go into the settings now, this particular system, okay, we now have a new drop down. Now this is the settings for this particular page. As you saw before, in the main page we had a setting page. That sets up the main system for the boat. Now we are in the chart mode. If we go there, we have a whole different set of settings that gives us the charts that we're using. It shows the layers. Here we can put on radar range rings, we can put tides on, we can have overlays of a satellite image and how much density you want, if you want a full or less. And if we want to see just land only, and you can change your views of how you see these things. We have a high detail on this. You can switch to medium, and that will change how much information is on that chart. Many times you're in an area where it's so congested that too much information, you can't see what you're looking for. So you can change your settings to the different settings. As you can see now, this lightens up and takes less information. So this is an adjustment that you would possibly make along the way if you're traveling someplace and all of a sudden you've got too many things to look at. You can take this and change what you're seeing. Depths. This is giving our depth ranges of where we have our different soundings and what they show. If we want to show a shallow area, we turn this on. We don't use that. We just use the colors. Sonar logging and density. If we're fishing, we've got different fishing settings also. View in motion. This lets you see how you picture the boat on the water. We're using relative motion, and we always travel with head up, meaning that when we are traveling in a direction, we are looking at the bow of our boat in the direction we're going. You can also change this and go to course up, which is the course you're running, so that would be at the top of your screen, or north up, meaning north is always going to be at the top of your screen, and the vessel will be showing its direction another way. We prefer head up. That's to us the most comfortable. Boat position, we can position the boat in the center. We can offset it or fully offset it. Again, we keep the boat in the center of our position. Advanced settings. This gives you, again, auto find the ship. We can put all these different things in there. Again, there is a lot to cover, and I just want to give you a general overview. Okay, moving on. There are many options on our home screen. We have chart, we have radar, dashboard, which will give us engine controls, but they also program in combinations. We can have a chart and a dashboard. We can have a chart with radar. We can have a fish finder. We can have a chart with a fish finder. We slide over this way. We can have a tri-screen, chart, radar, and video. If you have a camera, which this boat does, we can have all three of them. Or we can have a chart, fish finder combo, or if we go the other way, we've got video, we've got audio, we have a sound system tied in, we can play music. So let's just go over to chart and video. Chart, radar, and video. And you can customize these in a way that you can adjust your different sizes. Okay, see a chart. So we have to select the chart. We haven't used this one because we don't use it. So we're going to use the navionics chart. We don't want to record anything, and we're going to use that chart. So we have our radar up here, but it's asking us to transmit. So let's turn the radar on real quickly. And hopefully that will come up from this page. There we go. So now we've got three screens running at the same time. We've got a camera that shows the back of the boat. We use this sometimes in backing up. We have our radar display and we have our chart, so we can have multiple things happening at one time. It's not something I personally tend to do. I tend to stay with my chart, but I will just exit out of this and just sidebar a little bit here. Whenever we are in any kind of poor visibility areas, and this is important for you when you might find yourself caught in a fog or a heavy rainstorm, that I'm going to go to radar here, and we're going to just, now radar is running right now because we turned it on, and we're not going to cover radar, but that's all our echoes. Now we're at dock right now, so these are going to be all over the place and not really showing you anything distinct because it's hitting all the land objects. However, again, when you have radar, if you use your chart, these radar systems of today will overlay onto your chart. just bring this back to finding our boat. And as you can see, there's our radar giving us radar images. Now, we happen to be using a Quantum 2 Doppler system, and that, again, goes into a little more detail, but it actually gives you motion of whether an object is traveling towards you or away. Again, that's something for the radar time when we do a video on that. However, my point is, if you are underway and you have a visibility problem, although you get an overlay, always go to either a split screen where you have your chart and your radar, or a full radar screen. If you need your chart options, then run both. But radar images are far more defined on your radar screen than the overlay. And if you're dealing with a situation where your visibility is reduced, you want to utilize your screen of radar, because it's going to show every little dot and not create a situation where you could miss a target that you are on a course that needs to be changed. So just a sidebar, has nothing to do with this system, but I always like to bring that up. It's important. Another option is you have a fish finder. If you have sonar, most of these will have built-in fish finders also. So this is your fish finder page. It's going to scan. Again, we're at the dock. I'm sure that we're not going to see any fish here. We're in about 6 feet of water, but this is your display where if you have fish, you're going to see a fish coming along here. So for those fishermen out there, this is the screen you're always looking at. But if we want to be on course and find fish at the same time, we can go to a chart fish finder, and now we can have a combination of both. And have your chart, knowing where you are, as well as see what's going on with the fish underneath you. Now, settings on this also has a cool feature, and again, should be able to find that on most of them, is we can go to our page settings and we can edit the split ratio. So right now you've got 3 screens here. You can take this little cursor and you can make your fish finder big. Oh, look at that. Apparently I do have fish underneath me. And make the chart smaller, or I can make my chart bigger. So this is a way to change it. Now when you do this, you're going to save it in that position. So if I were to hit save, that would then preserve this particular page this way. Okay, in this final section, I'm just going to cover routes and waypoints. All of these systems have ways of you building routes and places that you'd like to go. So we're going to go to the chart. And we're just going to get a big area here. So, part of traveling around the water is going to restaurants or going to favorite anchorages or different sites and places, and these systems allow you to build a route, or in other words, you're going to map out where you're going, and you're then going to be. But if we just hold our finger on this and we say build a route, this now starts the route process. So we're here as our starting point. Now let's say we want to go up to that channel marker up there, but we need to stay in water. So we're going to put a mark here. Going to go over this way because we got some shallow water. And then we go over to here. We now have the route built. As you can see, those black lines, and that is now a roadmap for us. Your systems all are able to do this. Some, again, if it's a touchscreen, this is how most of them work. If it is not a touchscreen, these dials will now be your way of placing waypoints, but I've placed a waypoint, so I put 4 waypoints in. I'm starting here, I'm going here, and we're going to go up over there, and we've finished it. And that is how you create a route. Now we're back to our screen. Another option that you have is sort of what I call a breadcrumb trail or a track. If you are underway and you want to just make a track from where you're starting to finishing, you can go to the menu page and you can go to your waypoints and tracks. If you go to tracks, we then say start a track. If I hit this, it is going to make a track all the way wherever the boat goes until I tell it to stop. So when you're done, if you have a roadmap that you want to lay out without laying anything out, you know where you're going and you know what you want to do, you turn on the track mode, it will track out for you, and then when you hit stop, it'll save that track. You could also turn that track into a route later on after you've saved it. Some of your systems do automatically place tracks. Garmin is one that I see where they're constantly putting tracks down and it's on at all times. Sometimes that gets cluttered in your screen and you can't see where you're going. There is a setting in Garmin to turn off, I believe it's called auto track. And that way it won't make a track for you unless you want it to. All right, so that covers some of the small points, and then we will close up this session and hopefully it will benefit you. Thank you for spending time with us today. I hope this provided some information for you that's helpful in your boating, and you can now utilize your multifunction displays in better ways than you had prior to this. As always, if you have any questions, theboatingschoolnj.com. Reach out to us by email, call us. We're here to help you become better boaters, more competent boaters, and most importantly, safe boaters. Thank you and have a good day.